Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lines TV, and you're probably wondering what the hell is up my nose. I'm not going to lie you guys, I'm really ill at the moment. Like, I actually have to keep something in my nose because the snot is just coming out whenever it wants. I've literally got no control on what's happening with my nose at the moment, which is kind of peaks. And so yeah, you guys, obviously apologies for looking so clapped today, but it's a necessity. I'm trying to do everything in my power to make sure that I'm well for their game against Spurs. I don't want to miss that. I literally can't afford to. So you guys just bear with me today, and yeah, that's enough talking about nonsense. But anyway, I'm going to be doing the match preview on the game against Spurs. There's a lot to talk about, of course. The team lineup is going to be something very interesting because we actually lack midfield options. Now, I'm just going to get straight into things. Realistically, I do think that we're going to see David Luiz as the captain. And no, not as the captain, as the midfield option in this game. I think that's going to be the logical thing. Of course, there's other options such as maybe Christensen in midfield or Masunda. And with Masunda, he's actually played a lot in midfield for the youth teams. He used to play on the right, behind the striker, the left, and in midfield. He's got that tenacity and he distributes the ball very well. But it looks like David Luiz will be the midfield option in that game. It's going to be really interesting to see because let's say he has an amazing game against Tottenham. Maybe Conte might decide maybe to look into that option as Luiz playing in midfield a lot more. I think that would definitely suit him with his distribution, his tackling, his strength, composure on the ball. I don't think we're going to be weaker in that regards. Plus, what I'm really excited about is the forward passing. David Luiz, he finds these options. He finds a man. He knows when to make the right pass. We're not going to lack creativity in the midfield having Luiz playing there. And one thing Luiz is amazing at, just like Fabregas, is spotting those early runs by the front three, especially the striker. I can imagine Luiz finding Morata a lot in that game. And I think as a midfield option, I think we'll be okay. I don't think we're going to be weaker now. In defence now, obviously Courtois is going to be the goalkeeper. It's going to probably be Rudiger, Christensen and Aspie. Now, it's going to be great to see Christensen. It looks like he'll be able to play his natural role in the middle of that back three where he's able to play more as a libero. Occasionally come out and play out from the back. I think this is going to be the game where Christensen really shows a lot of fans who haven't necessarily seen him as much. Wow, this guy's a player. This guy's serious. We're going to be seeing that. And I think that it's actually going to be a great game to highlight his ability. Aspie on the right. I'm hoping that Aspie picks up a bit of form. Since pre-season, he hasn't been the same Aspie as last year. I kind of think now, because we defend without the ball in a completely different structure, he's not struggling, but he's not able to assert himself as much as he was doing before. Because, of course, before the defensive approach without the ball, Aspie was pushing out wide with Moses and, effectively playing as a fullback in those positions. Now, because he has to play a bit more central, we're seeing some, certain lack of attributes in his game in terms of height, aerial prowess, and sometimes positioning at times. So, hopefully he picks up some form. And Rudiger, I watched the game again. I thought he had a good debut. I thought he was decent. One thing I did notice, though, was his positioning. Now, I'm not going to say, Rudiger split his positioning, is this, that, blah, blah, blah. Of course not. Because, it's his first time playing at Chelsea. Playing in the back line he's never really played with much. It's not like he's been playing 90 minutes during pre-season. So what he was tending to do was he was pushing too deep with Luiz. And there was too much of a gap on the left-hand side especially. He's supposed to be pushing out wide and really helping the wing-back in that position. But, of course, as he gets more familiar with the system and his teammates, that's going to get rectified. That's going to get better. And I think, a defence of Rudiger, Christensen with the composure and ball playing a bit from the back, and Aspie, I think will be suited. Of course, wing-backs will be Moses and Alonso. And, of course, up front, Morata. I think Morata definitely has to start this game. If Conte decides to start with Michy, I'm going to be really disappointed because, we can't afford to lose any more points. We need to start winning. If you look throughout our pre-season, the only games we won was that game against, I think Fulham, or was it Aston Villa? I can't remember. No, Fulham and Arsenal. We haven't won a game since. And that's not good enough, of course. Didn't beat Arsenal, lost to Burnley. lost to Inter Milan and lost to Bayern Munich. So we need to get this winning run back now. And I think that, Conte has to start with Morata. We can't afford to waste any more time. He's just a better player compared to Mitchell, and he's going to suit what we do more, and he's actually going to give us more of an advantage because the guy is able to actually hold the ball and link the play up effectively, and Mitchell just can't do that. Now, who's going to be playing? Obviously, it looks like Pedro won't be playing the game against Spurs. It looks like that. So maybe it looks like Boga will regain his place on the left wing and Willie on the right. And I think that would be quite decent because, with Boga and Morata, two very good players at ball retention, link-up play, and they don't lose the ball sloppily. And, like I keep stressing a lot, the essential part of our system is our front three, because if guys aren't doing their job keeping the ball, holding the ball, then the wing-backs can't get forward. And if the wing-backs can't get forward, then the midfielders can't get on the ball and dictate things. And, if the midfielders don't come on the ball, dictate things, then our back three can't press high. And in turn, as a team, we can't close down opposition in their own half and really play in their half. This is going to be a really interesting game tactically because both teams like to play with wing-backs. And as I always stress this quite a lot, it's going to be a battle of the wing-backs. Whoever wins that battle is going to win the game. That's what's tended to happen. Spurs' approach to their 3-4-3 is really different compared to ours because they tend to play with like a 4-2-3-1, but then their defensive mids like a Dyer will actually drop deep into a back three, and then the wing backs will get forward. But Spurs' big weakness is actually their wing backs because, and this is why I keep stressing that Conte sometimes has to be more, he has to lose the pragmatism and be more assertive, be braver, because if you get at Spurs on the flanks and you attack them, you have a massive advantage against them because who tracks back to help the wing-backs? Eriksen's not going to do that. Son doesn't do that. And games last season with Monaco completely destroyed them. Man City and a few other ones, they got all their joy attacking down the flanks. Because what happened was, if the wing-backs can't get forward, then the play can't be supported. And then the midfielders get isolated in midfield because, wing-backs aren't full-backs. They're basically like wide midfielders in a way. So if both the full-backs are out the game, then you're only two in midfield. And if a team's pressing you and closing you down your own half, then, you get outnumbered and then you can't really play out. And it's much more difficult. I'm hoping that Conte's going to be thinking, I know they've got this Kyle Walker-Peters guy playing on the right. On the left, they've got Ben Davis. It looks like Rose isn't playing. We've got the advantage. We can get at them. If we have Moses attacking with Willian on the right and then Alonso and Boga, we can get joy down the flanks. And we were seeing bits and pieces of that when we actually beat them 4-2 in the FA Cup. If you realise, a lot of our build-up play was actually coming down the flanks. But again, it was more on a counter-attacking aspect instead of like ball retention. I really believe that this is the key to beating Tottenham. And it's just going to depend on Conte's approach with how offensive he's going to be. Because they are there for their taking, because they are weak in their wing-back positions. I mean, Ben Davis isn't Danny Rose getting forward. He plays more of a supportive role. Kyle Walker-Peters gave a very good account of himself on his debut. But at the same time, he hasn't played against Alonso and Boga. And he hasn't played against a team who are so, expertise and using a 3-4-3. And I think this is the advantage we have against them. Of course, one thing we definitely have to worry about, which I am slightly worried about, is how we defend open play headers. I said that really wrong then. I keep making this point. We constantly concede from set pieces and headers from open play. And against Tottenham, I think that all their goals they've scored against us have come from headers from either set pieces or from open play. And the man that is really, the big problem we have when we play against Tottenham is Christian Eriksen. He picks up positions, especially, he was picking up positions on the left-hand side. Now, of course, we know the weakness last year between Cahill and Alonso. Cahill's not comfortable in one-on-one situations. He's not aggressive or assertive when it comes to closing down space. And of course, sometimes he'd leave Alonso isolated because Alonso doesn't really have that recovery pace to really get back into position on time. So as a unit, they're not the most complementary. And Eriksen was making full use of that because with the gaps there, he was able to pick up the ball from those situations and then put in those, he's world class at crossing. from areas like that, kind of David Beckham-esque, and we've been punished nearly every single time. So I'm really hoping to nullify Eriksen, we have to push their wing-backs back, because, again, Eriksen can only get in those positions if a wing-back's advance and pushing high up and providing that width and space. If they're much deeper, Eriksen's going to be deeper, and he's not going to be able to, collect the ball in that danger zone, on the right-hand side of the pitch. And, again, I was thinking, could we man-mark him? I don't think so. You can't really do a man-marking job when you've got two in midfield. It doesn't really work like that. I mean, you could maybe have a defender pushing up, but at the same time, we do have an advantage because Rudiger is much more comfortable in that defensive part of the game, leaving this position, closing down space, better at one-on-one tackling. So if anything, the worry is, has he got used to the system of how we defend, so he can, not stay too deep to the central defender, or is he actually going to be able to, adapt really fast and play his natural role that he was doing on the right-hand side of the pitch, closing down space, getting forward. I'm really hoping that's going to happen, and I really think with Tottenham, if we stop Eriksen and we stop their wing-backs getting forward, I think we can win the game. Tottenham, they are a very good team, but at the same time, people might think I'm crazy with this, but if you were to compare our players on an individual player basis, we've got much better players than them individually. Now, the reason why Spurs do so well is because Pochettino is a world-class manager. There's no doubt about that. I really love what he does. And his tactical system has got the best out of the players. And I keep making this point all the time. Football's a team game where you complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. And you need to have a system that complements the players you have. And that's what Pochettino has done at Tottenham. Sorry. That's what Pochettino has done at Tottenham. And I think that really, when you look at their performances in Europe, they don't do anything. Why is that? Because, teams in Europe, they play with the ball more. And they're more tactically adept compared to a lot of teams in the Premier League. Spurs are getting a lot of their points against the smaller teams who just kind of sit back and defend in low blocks and don't really have any game plan, which is really ridiculous. I mean, the Newcastle game especially really summed up the lack of tactical intelligence in this league. And but when Spurs are in Europe, they get shown up all the time and they don't really progress, because I think it's because the players' ability gets shown up, because teams aren't going to play to Spurs' advantages anymore. And I think that maybe too many teams show them too much respect in this country. I'm hoping Conte doesn't necessarily do that. I don't think we can afford to. I think with the players we have, the system we have, I think they're really there for the taking. As I said, we stop their wing backs, that's going to stop Eriksen, and that's going to stop a lot of what Tottenham can do in this game. Because again, with Eriksen, he's the one finding Dele Alli and Harry Kane. How often do Spurs create chances from open play? They don't really do that. We played them 3 times last season. Rarely ever did that. All the opportunities were coming from crosses, from open play. So this is really the big thing we need to do, is stopping that. And you know what, you guys? I am feeling fairly confident that we can get a win against Spurs. I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think we're that much of a disadvantage. I know not having Hazard isn't a big help. Of course, we've seen that Hazard and Bakayoko are actually back to training. I've been told that Bakayoko is a week ahead in terms of fitness, so he'll potentially be on the bench. So we could be seeing some signs of him playing, maybe near the end of the game, which will be, fairly interesting to see. Maybe, probably Conte might take off like a Moses and then push Aspie as the right wing back, and then play Luis back in defence, and then have Bakayoko in that midfield. I'm praying maybe Hazard could be on the bench too. I'd love to see him get 15-20 minutes. We all saw that Rose interview where he was saying in the FA Cup, and the likes of Fabregas, Hazard and Costa came on, and it's like, wow, this is serious now. We're going to have a lot of issues. And I think the fact that Rose even made that remark, I think that really, really cements the fact about maybe how Spurs as a team see a Chelsea team. This is why, and I know a lot of us feel like this, we don't really particularly enjoy playing on the back foot, when we know that the Spurs players will be thinking this is a better team than us. Because, if we're Chelsea and we're seeing Ali coming on and I don't know, Nkudu, whatever, no players getting worried or nervous about anything like that. Of course not, because again, our players individually are just better. And yeah, you guys, I'm going to give my score prediction. I think we are going to get the win. And yeah, I think we're going to get the season back on track. If anything, it's nothing to be too doom and gloom about. A lot of players are getting their fitness back. They're coming back. Hazard will be back soon. Bakayoko will be back. We're lucky Cahill's going to be out for a few games. Hopefully that means that he won't be able to just slot back into the team when he gets back. And I really feel that without Cahill, tactically, you know, we're just, you know, we're improved. We're a stronger team because that weakness on the left is just gone. It's eroded. And, you know, this is the beauty. Like, you know, a small little side note. You remember the great Barcelona team under Pep Guardiola? Every single week, teams were trying different, you know, they had different tactical ploys to try and beat them. You know, some teams tried to man mark Xavi, some teams to the low blocks, tried to counter on their, you know, down the flanks, etc., etc. And to this day, there was no real plan. You know, I think near the end it became, you know, putting 3 men on Messi. That was how severe it was. But there was no real proper plan in terms of how to defeat Barcelona. And that's because there was no weakness in the team tactically. And I think once we close that area on the left-hand side, you know, what real disadvantage do we have? Because, you know, that's the side that teams like to focus a lot of their attacks down. Once that's gone, they're going to have to vary what they do more. And it's going to play into our hands a bit more. But anyway, you guys, my match prediction, I'm going for 2-1. 2-1 against Tottenham. Of course, Tottenham, they don't ever win at Wembley. They don't have the best record there. It's going to be pretty surreal going there because I heard it's going to be 70,000 capacity, of course. For, you know, security reasons, they can't have the whole stadium, like, fully there. There's only going to be 3,000 Chelsea fans there. It's weird because obviously with Wembley, it's always been 50-50. So it's it's going to be a lot of Spurs fans there. So it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to make sure I get that match vlog ready. Anyway, you guys, thank you for watching the match preview. Please like, comment. I want to hear some of your thoughts and opinions on how you think the game is going to go. Maybe you don't agree with everything I'm saying about how it's going to be tactically. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. Follow me on Nini FC. You see the Twitter link on the left. Add the Snapchat account, that's at Blue Lions TV. If you want to support me on Patreon, of course, that helps a lot because I can reinvest that back into the channel and really take things to another level. And yeah, you guys, thank you for watching the match preview. I'll catch you all later.